am Annette Dockery, 2nd Episcopal District YPD Director. This workshop is designed to help you understand what it means to be an effective YPD leader. So welcome to the YPD Leadership Training. First slide. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. John Quincy Adams. Think about that for a moment, because you must be able to inspire and help others become great leaders in your role as a YPD director. Next slide, please. So we're going to talk about the different levels, the organizational levels of being a YPD director, which we start at the connectional level. Well, actually, let's go back. We're going to start at the local level, which is your home church, where you actually are elected to become a YPD director through your missionary society. We're going to go to the area in which you are voted on from your area to be an area YPD director, meaning that you will have several churches under your leadership, depending on the makeup of your conference. The conference level, obviously, you're going to be over all the churches in the conference to assist them in making sure that we are meeting the goals and priorities of YPD. The Episcopal level, which is where I am as a district YPD director, to ensure that the conferences are running the way that they need to run. And then as a connectional level director, which is the highest level of being a YPD director, and by the way, our connectional YPD director is Sister Wanda Ringgold, who is in Philadelphia. She is over the entire organizational structure of YPD. And so she ensures that the district levels are running the way that they should be running. All the levels have different things that they have to do. And what you get throughout the year is information from the connectional to the district, to the conference, to the area, to the local. So it all kind of trickles down to where it needs to be so that you understand what it is that you're supposed to be doing. There's different goals and things that we meet throughout the year. We do our self-denial. We obviously do many mission projects throughout the year. And one of the big things that we do is our leadership training institutes throughout the church from every level. And that is something that should be happening on a local level as well. If we're not training our young people on what to do, then how are they supposed to know what to do? And that is one of the reasons that we're having this training here today, is to help you understand what you're supposed to be doing as a leader. I hope that you all have equipped yourselves with a YPD handbook. If you don't have one, you certainly need to let your conference directors know that you do not have your YPD handbook. They will be available at the beginning of 2022 and the new edition that has been published. We have not yet received those, but they will be coming forth very soon. Your YPD handbook is an excellent tool for helping you to stay on track. It gives you so much valuable information about the various programs that are available throughout the year, as well as a guideline and a roadmap for how you can keep your program working the way that it should, all the way down to even an agenda. If you're not even sure how to do an agenda for a meeting, this will help you understand how to set up your meeting and how to train your young people. Because as a director, you do understand that we are training our youth. We are training our youth. Next slide. Let's look at the setup for the various offices that we have. Because we have the connectional director and the different directors throughout the structure of the AME church, all our directors are doing is guiding our young people. And so there's a whole list of officers that are going to be conducting and running the program, and you are there to make sure that things go the way that they should go. So if you look at this slide, you'll see connectional director, which is the very top of the scale, president, executive board. All of us have an executive board, a president. After your president, you're going to have a first vice, a second vice, a third vice. Under those, you will see recording secretary, communication secretary, financial secretary, historiographer, statistician. You also see, as it goes down the list, under recording secretary, there's an assistant recording secretary. You have a parliamentarian, a worship director, an editor of the YPD Gazette, associate editor of the YPD Gazette. Under the financial secretary, you'll see the structure for district directors, which is where I am. You'll see district presidents, district executive board. And again, those boards are going to be comprised of all of the offices that I just told you about. Then you also have special committees. Those special committees are steward and finance, evaluation, voter registration, reading and literacy education, affiliated groups, global social justice, global health and fitness, technology, Monique Gonzalez Memorial, My Brother/Sisters Keeper Initiative. And then we have some standing committees. They are program planning, membership outreach, Christian social relations, campus ministry, family life education, constitution and bylaws, international awareness, and nominating. So as you can see, there's a huge structure of things that can be done from within the YPD, and there's really room for everybody. So there's really no reason for us not to be engaging our youth and teaching them how to handle the various positions. And if you look at the way that the structure of YPD is set up, many of our young people have gone on to become professionals, such as lawyers, doctors, teachers, you name it, we have it within the YPD. And so we boastfully are very proud that we are able to be a part of that structure of them growing up and becoming such productive members of society. So the only reason the YPD programs don't work is because we don't work the program. Next slide, please. Under our purpose, it says, we are to provide meaningful youth programs, training programs in all areas of church life. This will provide for full participation in the total mission of the church. Educational programs designed to increase knowledge of African Methodist Episcopal Church history and scriptures, to provide opportunities for leadership experience. Again, if our program doesn't work, it's because we are not working the program, because we certainly have the roadmap to make it work. Next slide, please. Our goals: to organize and develop a young people's and children's division wherever there is a senior society, wherever there is a senior society. So many people say there's no, we don't have enough youth, we don't have enough youth. And I say to you, are we working the program? Maybe the youth aren't there, but aren't we supposed to be disciples of Christ as well as missionaries and go out and get our youth and bring them in? It's not that people stop having children. We stop going out to get the children to bring them to the church and to the house of the Lord. So we also have a vested interest, and we have goals that we must meet by making sure that we are doing what God would have us to do by gathering the youth and bringing them to God's house so that we can train them and teach them the way that they need to be taught within this structure. Now, I must say, if you don't have the patience for being or working with young people, then maybe this is not the job for you. If you're not going to have the time to do this, this may not be the job for you. You know, if you don't want to be a kind, loving person when it comes to young people, they just annoy you and you get really upset, then perhaps this is not the job for you. Because we do have to show the love that God gives us in order to work with our young people. And, you know, young people don't always come up wrapped in a nice, pretty package that we can work with and do exactly like we'd like for them to do. That's why we train. That's why we teach. So again, keep that in mind. If those are not qualities that you feel that you possess, then this is probably not the job for you. The next goal is to interest Christian youth in discovering opportunities for witnessing in today's world and put their Christian convictions into action in all their daily relationships. So that means that we're supposed to be teaching them how to be Christ-like regardless of where they are. Just because they're in church, they act a certain way. When they get out with their friends or they're at school, they should be acting the same way. They should be able to entice other young people to want to be a part of what they're doing. Next, we see that we are to develop leadership committed to Christ and the church. We are to develop the leadership committed to Christ and the church. So we have to begin to instill and train and help them to understand why it's important to be committed to Christ, why it's important to take on these types of leadership roles. And what you'll find as you train your young people, they also begin to display those kind of leadership skills in their schools, in their colleges, and they're able to rise to the challenge. They're not afraid to stand up and talk to people or to get people involved, to engage them and to do things that are the right things. We also are to acknowledge and appreciate the total process of leadership and fellowship, directors, officers, and youth. That simply means that we are to follow the process. Nobody should jump out in front of the other person. We talked about the levels that we have. We have a local, we have an area, we have a conference, we have a district, and we have a connectional. So that means that we shouldn't jump from local to conference or from local up to the district director. If we're having issues or we need some assistance with something, we're supposed to follow the process. Just like our pastors report to the bishop or to the presiding elder to the bishop, then we have a process that we follow as well. And that's what that means. We're supposed to stimulate an interest in the historical background of the AME Church. You know that we are the oldest Black church in the nation, and we have a very, very rich history. We're supposed to educate our young people, help them understand that we are a proud church. We are a proud people, and we were the beginning of the church in the Black community. And so we need to help them understand how proud and what a privilege that is to be the first among first in churches. There are many churches that have come since then, but we boast proudly that we were the first AME church. To have the youth to know the historical background of not only the church, but also the Women's Missionary Society, and understanding how the Missionary Society came into being and why we do the things that we do, what mission work really means, and just helping them to understand that it should not be all about you receiving, but you're supposed to be able to give back and give to those in need, help those in need. It's part of what we're supposed to train and teach them to do. That's why we do mission projects. That's why we go out into the neighborhoods to try and assist those in need and just help them to understand that it is better to give than to receive. And yes, everybody likes to receive at some point, but there are people who just do not have. And we as missionaries and young missionaries and YPDers, we're supposed to be going out to help those in need. And we are supposed to do our absolute best into making God's kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. That means that we're supposed to live here on earth the way that we would live in heaven. And so those are the goals of the YPD, and those are the things that we're supposed to be instilling in our young people. Next slide, please. Now, people wonder what the structure is like, and we talked about the different ones. We also have a breakdown in the ages. We told you the structure includes the connectional, the district, conference, area, and local. And yes, I keep saying that so that everybody can understand that that's what it is. A lot of people don't know. And it means that we haven't done our job whenever we ask our young people, what area are you from? What conference are you from? If they don't know, we aren't training them what they need to know so that they'll be able to answer these questions. When they go to huge meetings like a quadrennial convention, people always ask those kind of questions, and they shouldn't be not knowing what to say. They should always know what to say, because we should have trained them on where they came from and why they're here. Next slide, please. The divisions that we have as far as the age breakdowns are, hopefully you all do understand, YPD is ages 2 to 26. Well, now we're not going to put a 2-year-old with a 26-year-old. So these are the divisions. The Sunbeams, age level preschool to primary, 2 to 6. Allen Stars, age level primary to 6th grade, ages 7 to 12. The Young People's Auxiliary, ages 13 to 17. Those are the YPD auxiliary group. And then we also have the Young Adult Division, 18 to 26. People wonder why we often go to 26. And to be honest with you, most of our young people don't want to leave YPD once they get in. We almost have to push them to the other organizations because they've had such a wonderful experience in YPD when we're working the program the way that we should. And to be honest, the YPD is the strongest youth group in the AME Church. And so we need to capitalize on that and make sure that our young people get everything they're supposed to get from being a part of YPD. Next slide. Let's talk about effective leadership skills for a minute. Communication, integrity, empathy, confidence, accountability, humility, decision-making, delegation, honesty, motivation, emotional intelligence. I like the book that Dr. Patricia Russell McLeod wrote. It's entitled A is for Attitude. A is for Attitude. Now, there's a whole book that goes through the entire alphabet. This book is a nice little roadmap for helping you stay on track as well and helping to engage our young people. I would encourage you to take a look at this book right here. In order to be an effective leader, we must communicate. We must communicate. Young people don't communicate the way that we communicate. So you need to pay attention and find out how they're communicating. In today's society of technology, just like we are right now, because in the past we would have been all sitting in a room together and I'd be standing there talking to you about what's going on, but you're looking at me on a video at this point. Communication is key. I tell my directors, you need to find out how your young people are communicating. Most of us are just getting to email, but they're way past email. So there's many different forms of communication for them through social media. And yes, we've heard the negative side of social media, but there are also some positive sides of social media. So you need to figure out what works best. You have a president who is going to be in tune with the young people because he's in their same age group. And so figure out what's the best way to get a message out to them. Is it text messaging? Probably not. Is it GroupMe? Is it Snapchat? You know, they think Facebook is for old people now, so that's probably not it either. So we need to figure out what's working for them so that we can stay in touch with them and making sure that they get the right information and that they get it timely and that you're able to be in touch with them whenever you need to get in touch with them. Integrity, that just speaks for itself. You know, you must teach integrity to young people so that they understand how to be intelligent, how to speak well, how to show their integrity when they're out. Empathy. As a director, you have to have some understanding and some empathy. Sometimes young people are going through things that you're not aware of. So you don't always want to be a drill sergeant. Sometimes you need to be understanding and caring enough to understand and see when there's something going on with a young person. Don't always assume that they're just a bad kid or just won't listen. Sometimes there are things going on that you're not aware of. Confidence. We're supposed to be confident in what we are. We need to build confidence in our young people. If you're not confident in your program, you can't teach anybody else to be confident or have confidence in what you're going to do. So being confident in what you're presenting is a big help into making sure that your program goes well. Accountability. That speaks for itself. You must be accountable. If you say we're going to do this, we need to do this. You need to hold them accountable for what's going on. When you have young people that step up and take positions in your organization, hold them accountable. You know, don't let them just be in name, on paper only. Help them be accountable for what they're doing. Obviously, we have many things going on in life. As adults, we do. Young people do too. You know, as they get older, there's sports. There are other things, there's proms, there's things that they may want to do. But again, there's band, lots of things that they may want to do. But if you sat down and worked out a program with them, they still need to be accountable. Humility. You know, learn to be humble. Serving God is humble business. Decision making. You need to be able to make a decision. Don't be indecisive in what you're saying. You know, make a decision and stand by it. Delegation. You don't have to do this alone. Please understand, you do not have to do this alone. That's why we have all these breakdowns in the structure of the YPD, as well as in the missionaries. I mean, if you have a local director, an area director, a conference director have area directors that work with them. Local directors work with the area directors, so on and so forth. Why would you dare try to do everything by yourself? That's what delegation is. Sharing the responsibility, giving people an opportunity to use their gifts as well. Honesty. Honesty is something we must always be, whether it's in the church or at work or what have you. Honesty. If people lose faith in you being honest, then they won't trust what you're saying or what you're doing. Motivation. we have to be able to motivate. We have to be able to motivate other young people to be involved, to do what they need to do. So you need to do things that are exciting. Nobody wants to come and sit at a humdrum meeting and that's about all they do on a Saturday morning. That's going to be kind of boring to anybody. So you need to be innovative. Get your young people's input on what's going on. Get them to help you design programs that are going to be interesting and fun for other young people to participate in. And emotional intelligence, simply, keeping your emotions under control. Every day is not a good day for everybody, and that's understandable, but knowing when to say, how to say, the way that you talk to people, what you do with others helps to motivate them, and shows your intelligence. Sometimes if you're not having a good day, we have to learn to rise above and move on. We need to be able to teach our young people how to do the same thing, because life happens and things aren't always in the best place for us, but with God, we can get through anything. Next slide, please. Next slide says steps to managing successful meetings. We've talked about accountability. Information is very, very key, in that information has to be shared. Just like you're sitting in this session now, if you don't share this information with anybody else, then how are they supposed to know exactly what's going on? We have to be able to share the information. I always tell people, there's no point in you coming to a meeting if you're not going to go back and share the information. It's just a well-kept secret. The point of giving out information is so that it can be shared. As a leader, as a director, you're supposed to share the information. If you're the only one that knows what's going on, you can't hardly expect anybody else to know what's happening if you haven't shared that information. So make sure when you get information from the other levels of the YPD that you send it on down, that you share it. Make sure that it's going out into your churches. Make sure that it's going to your areas. Make sure that the information is being shared throughout the church, because if you're the only one that knows, then that's not sharing. Record keeping, we have voting status underneath that. The reason that that's really, really important, and it's specifically and really important when it comes to us being able to vote in our elections. They determine whether or not you've been actively participating, determines whether or not you actually have a vote. And so it is important to keep up with those kind of numbers. Also, we get asked for reports of statistics and how many people are participating in our youth programs, and how are we going to know if we're not keeping up with our numbers. Sharing of ideas. And I like this one because I like for others to communicate. What works at your church could work very successfully at my church, but I won't know if you don't share the information. So share the information, talk about what you're doing. When you get together with other directors, share what kind of things have worked for you, what kind of programs you put on, so that others may be able to utilize those as well. Not everything works for everybody, but if we share information, you don't know what may work for you. Maybe something you haven't thought of. Conflict resolution. Conflict will always come. But the way we handle the situation, if you don't know how to handle the situation yourself, I always tell people, don't always respond so quickly. Sometimes you need to take time to reflect, think about it, maybe run it by somebody else before you just jump right in to give an answer, because you want to make sure that you give the appropriate answer so that people are able to resolve conflicts in a Christ-like manner. So think about that before you respond to someone that's in a negative situation, because you always want to be Christ-like. You want to say something that's angered you. You don't want to say something in anger that may cause someone not to come back to the program or not to come back to the church. So think about that. And again, if you don't know how to do that, talk to others so that you can get some ideas on what to do. Recognition. Recognition is always an excellent way to keep people involved. It makes them feel good. It gives them confidence, and it should make you feel good as well. If you do a good job, you're going to be recognized for doing your good job. Our rewards do come from heaven, but your pastors will see it, other directors will see it, missionaries will see it. So let's do the best job that we can do, and let's recognize our young people. The different things that they're involved in. If they're making good grades, recognize them for that. If they've done well in a program, they spoke well on Sunday morning because it was Youth Sunday, and somebody had the scripture and they did just an outstanding job, give them some kudos, give them some love so they understand that you do appreciate what they've done. Next slide. When we talked about our voting, this one is about our qualifications and eligibility. We talked about voting and how you get to vote. All of this lends to that. Now, I'm not going to read all of this to you, but it does lend to that. Making sure that you're eligible to run for office means that you've been actively participating in your local church, your area, your conference, your district. So you want to make sure that you're doing what you need to do in order to remain eligible on the books when it's time to make those important decisions about the YPD, about the WMS. All right. Now, I have a few other things I just wanted to share with you. I want to make sure that you truly understand that you have to be equipped. I told you you need to make sure you have your handbook. You always need to have your Bible. If we can go to the slide that says words matter. And I want you to look at this slide and I want you to think about what that means. Words matter. It says, watch your thoughts, for they become words. Watch your words, for they become actions. Watch your actions, for they become habits. Watch your habits, for they become character. Watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. I want you to think about what that means to you and how you can apply that to your work with the YPD and just basically your life in general, because those are words to live by. Next slide. The other slide says the importance of thinking before you speak. Remember, I just said to you, conflict resolution, think about it before you say something, because sometimes you may not say the right thing depending on what's going on. This one says, think before you speak. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it important? Is it necessary? And is it kind? We always want to be kind in what we're saying. So again, think before you speak. And lastly, I think I'd like to end with the slide that says, walk by faith, not by sight. Faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase. And Martin Luther King Jr. said that. So that is exactly what faith is. We don't always see exactly where we're going, but if we put God first and we continue to pray for understanding as we do this walk of faith, because this is truly a walk of faith. Working with young people is a blessing. Sometimes you feel like it may be a curse. Well, it's not really. We just got to see the best in who they are. Sometimes they may be going through things that we don't recognize. So we need to continue to be prayerful in what we do, walk by faith, not by sight. God bless you. I pray that you've heard something that may help you in your journey and working with young people. I am always available to you, and I hope that you will make sure you utilize your directors for assistance. The very, very last thing I would like to say, the 2nd Episcopal District YPD training will be coming up the 3rd through the 4th, and I believe we have a slide for that one. So make sure you get registered. Registration is $35 through November the 10th. From November the 11th to the 17th, it will be $45. So we do want you to get in on the regular registration rate and get your young people ready. Shifting gears is our theme this time. Shifting gears. You know, we've been in a big change since the pandemic has begun. And so we're getting our ground again and we're getting back into action. And we really want you to be there. We hope that you will be blessed by what we have prepared for you, and come and see the young people of the 2nd Episcopal District give you all that they have, because they give us the very best of who they are. God bless you, and thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful day.